A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Remain in my love. You will remain in my love if you keep my commandments, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and remain in his love. All this I tell you that my joy may be yours, and your joy may be complete. This is my commandment. Love one another as I have loved you." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Please be seated. Well, Jason and Britt, it's a beautiful day for a spring wedding. The months of detailed preparation are complete, and now you come together in this cathedral church with one longing to profess your love for one another in a communion of love blessed by God. I want to share a story with you that I'm quite fond of sharing. It's the story of a couple that has lived out what the two of you desire. And once I had discovered that this couple had been married for 52 years, I asked the husband what the success of their marriage could be attributed to. And he told me two things have contributed to the healthy longevity of their marriage. First, he said that on the day of he and his wife's marriage, they decided that his wife would make all the small decisions they had to make in their marriage, and that he as the husband would make all the big decisions. I asked him after 52 years of marriage how this system has worked, and he said just fine, although to date we haven't had to make any big decisions. And what about that second key to their success? He said ever since they were married 52 years ago, each year on their wedding anniversary, they reread the scripture readings they chose for their wedding all those years ago. And they also go to church together. And without any pomp or circumstance, they simply stand before the Lord in church, and they say yes to one another all over again. Year in, year out, they stand before the Lord, and they say yes to all that God is asking of them in their married life. Britt and Jason, healthy marriages have a sense of remaining. The husband remains in the wife, and she in him. And that's the case even when you hit the wall in your relationship. There's always honesty, always integrity, always ongoing communication. The two of you have been part of one another's lives since the summer of 2008 when you first met at the state's attorney's office, while Britt was an intern and Jason working there. And you developed a friendship over those next two summers, but it was not a dating relationship until Jason mustered up the courage to ask you out, Britt, in March of 2010. And you dated that first week, your spring break, and you learned just how much you had in common. Kind of an intellectual background that nurtures both of you and you find life-giving. This rich appreciation of family, which you share, which you treasure, which you cherish. Both of you lifted up to me the witness of your parents' marriages, how their love, their fidelity, their faith has been such a powerful witness to you. You also discovered that you appreciated one another's friends so very much, and you appreciated one another's humor. But you also cited how important your faith is to each of you, and how important it is for you to make these vows before God here in this cathedral church. There's a beautiful reference in the first reading you chose from Jeremiah, where it's said that the law is written upon their hearts, and no longer will they need to see God, because what they're going to do is they're going to experience God through the living out of the law that has been written on God's people's hearts. And that's what we celebrate here today, Jason and Britt. Your covenant, your commitment to one another in the sacrament of marriage holds great promise for all of us, because it is how God will choose to make you holy. In your dying, in your rising, in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health, in your fidelity to one another and the living out of this covenant, you will say volumes to us about God's covenantal love for us. And that's why your friends and family have gathered here this day in such a spirit of joy. I didn't see any gloomy faces, Britt, when Jason met you in the aisle. No, your family and your friends here gathered have great hope, great affection, great trust in what you are celebrating here today. So I think you've heard enough from me. I know you've all gathered to hear what Jason and Britt have to say to one another. So I invite the bridal party to come out to witness their vows to one another.